you're watching this, it's too late. You already missed the first match, but don't worry, we got two more coming your way right now. It's a battle of our warm weather squads, and I'm your host, Chris Puckett. Back with the desk, we've got Bren, Reinforced. So I almost forgot your name for a minute.
You were like, this guy. I mean, before you addressed him with, what was it, the Great Reinforced, and you just said, Bren.
You're just Bren.
Just Bren.
Bren from the block. All right, Bren, let's get into this one today. We got to remind everybody the schedule. It's day 2, week 4, stage 2. And we already saw it was the NYXL, our #1 squad, take out the Dragons, who remained winless. We got the Mayhem going up against the Valiant, and a little bit later, I know a lot of people are excited to see what can the hometown Gladiators do against the Houston Outlaws. But it's time to jump in to that second match right now as we gear up for Florida versus the Valiant. And this is a story of two different weeks. Last week, you look at the Florida Mayhem, they're coming off a big win. The Valiant, disappointing losses. So let's start with Florida. How did they get the job done last week? How did they start things off so strong against Dallas?
Well, even versus Houston, it started off good because they almost got the win versus Houston Outlaws, of course. And then the day after, they ended up reverse sweeping the Dallas Fuel, of course. So very impressive stuff. Logix, to me, he looked like the best he's ever done all season. Especially on the Widowmaker on King's Row. He got the momentum going. Twig got some nice Dragon Blades going on Hanamura, but it wasn't enough. So in the end, they had to take the last 3 maps to pull off the reverse sweep. I mean, bam.
I mean, this is what we've been, this is what we've been saying that Florida's capable of. Me and you, Johnny, the only believers in the Florida Mayhem squad, right? Time and time again, coming into their matches, but up against Dallas Fuel, they took a big bite at them like a piece of passion fruit, and I gotta say, it was looking beautiful. It was looking fantastic, and I got high hopes from coming into.
Johnny, we haven't seen so many. There's really been no new friends for Florida to play with so far, and I have to ask you, just looking back historically at the core of this group, is this the best Tracer they ever had?
The best Tracer they ever had. Well, they used to have Twick on the Tracer role, of course, but I like to think that Twick is the better Genji of the two. And they have different styles, but Logix right now, he's looking on fire. If he can keep up as well as he did versus Dallas, then you're supposed to be scared of Logix going into this game.
All right, let's remind everybody what happened the first time these two teams met up. Yes, we're in stage 2. It's a new set of matches, but they played first in stage 1. The Valiant took that one 3-1. But the lineups are looking quite a bit different now coming into today.
Yeah, and it is a change of pace, to be honest. Between these two teams, their play styles, the way they like to play, it definitely favors Florida Mayhem in a way, actually. The way they are an aggressive team at heart, you know, back when they were playing in contenders. And if they can do that against a slower, more passive, more patient Valiant squad, right, this is where Valiant seem to struggle, you know, and they've been showing issues with their consistency throughout the game. Florida Mayhem are picking up momentum as we're going through the matchup. And I gotta say, you know, this is gonna be potentially one of the closer matches we have in this week.
Yeah. Looking forward to this one. So how's the team feeling?
They're feeling pretty good. I actually got to talk to their coaching staff, the Valiant that is, about their loss against the Gladiators because, you know, they still came into that kind of as the favorite. So I discussed it with their coach, Moon, and he told me that it's actually pretty simple. They just happened to run the wrong strategy going into that match against the Gladiators. Turns out that running exclusively Widowmaker into a strong dive team is not the best decision.
Yes.
Fact, you know, you gotta say it how it is. And they did identify that mistake. And he also said that that was an error on the coaching side, not on the players. So I'm sure they're coming prepared this time around.
So for everyone who is watching today in its entirety, you saw, of course, Hanamura. We saw Nepal, Hollywood, Route 66. Same games we're about to see right now. Knowing the maps, let's talk about the play styles and the impact players that are going to be involved. Who should our fans be watching out for in this series?
So for Valiant, like I said before, they're an inconsistent team so far at this stage, which is a bit unusual given the players they've got. But if they field agilities now, I feel like that is the key for them to take a win against Florida. They need to play with a bit more tempo towards them. When they're playing with Kariv, which they have been the past few matches, it's been too slow for my liking. There's been too many sort of mistakes. You know, I'm not saying Kariv is a bad player because he's actually a fantastic player. But when they were running agilities, he plays that aggressive sort of solo kill Genji style, which is what they need when they're up against this kind of squad like Florida Mayhem.
Yeah, they're a bit disoriented, of course, because you see Soon likes to play the a bit more aggressive Tracer, and then you have Kariv playing a bit more passive. But they have chose to play Kariv, of course. So if we expect Kariv again today, then I can just imagine we're going to see him going up against Logix. And going into Hanamura, we know that we like playing Soldier on the high ground, of course. So you look out for the Soldier 76 in this first initial map. We have Logix and Kariv going head-to-head in one another. I like to think that Logix is one of the better soldiers thus far in this stage too. But we haven't really seen Misfits, Florida Mayhem, of course, adapt to the Soldier 76. So I'm looking out for this Hanamura map to be very exciting, to utilize that high ground with both these Soldier 76 players.
Kariv Soldier, like a sprained ankle, it ain't nothing to play with. That's going to do it for our Sorry, I'm trying to fit as many as I can. Let's get to the match. Are you guys ready? You want to meet our teams? Drake was playing Fortnite last night. Let's get to the game right now.
Just what the doctor ordered now. It's looking like they've done their homework here, Florida Mayhem. Staying alive and keeping the damage rolling. Kariv now comes in with a tactical visor. Oh, he gets cleaned up. Florida Mayhem, they're calling their targets and they're dropping them like sandbags.
It's inexorable. The Los Angeles Valiant are pushing forward.
No way. Yes, it's happening.
It's time to bring out the squad that reverse swept the fuel. Let's hear it for the Florida Mayhem. I want to see if they're going to have a special entrance today, because talking to the guys in the makeup room, they said when we win, we don't need an entrance. When we lose, we got to make it up to our fans.
Yeah, no one dance today apparently, but they're going to be rolling onto the stage regardless. And this is a team, you know, as we were saying just before when we were discussing this team, all around, they've been improving steadily, time and time again. They've got reinforcements coming in a little bit later on as well. Not quite yourself, Johnny. I don't mean to get your hopes up there, pal, but sorry, you can't join Florida today, but maybe in the future. However, this is a team that still, they're playing incredibly well as it comes into it. They reverse swept Dallas. They almost beat out previous teams like Houston, and now they're up against Valiant today. They have the potential to take it.
As Brent kind of touched on, we see the Swedish tank there in Swoosh, but they've added some Finnish men to the lineup as well.
They did. One man, in fact, and that's Zappis, and we might see him today. However, when I did talk to their team about this new addition, they said that only this week on Tuesday they actually started playing with him. So up until, what's that, yesterday, the day before yesterday, I don't even know what day today is, but they've not been playing with him, so they still are unsure on how to fit him in, or even telling me what role he will be playing. Their lips were sealed, I have no idea.
Keep your eyes on Logix. We highlighted their star Tracer player likely to be on Soldier for game number 1. That's a look at the starting lineup for the Florida Mayhem. Now it's time to bring out the hometown squad. Let's hear it for the LA Valiant. A big surprise in stage number 1. They started to pick up momentum, and currently they're sitting at an 11-5 overall record. You look at their stage 2 performance, pretty impressive 4-2. Hasn't been the running for the playoffs.
No, they've been working towards no improvements, and I think the long-term decision for them was running Kariv in his DPS position. We didn't see a return to form, but now if I'm looking at these players correctly, we are seeing a bit of a switch-up compared to what they normally run. So they are going to be running in, I believe, agilities. I don't know. I will have to see these players as they play out, but it's looking like they're running either a solo support strategy, or Kariv is moving back into that support role himself.
I mean, I'm looking out for agilities to perhaps pull out some Dragon Blades on Hanamura. We've seen the Nano Blades time and time again. So now we have Tvik on one side. We saw the Nano Blade last week, and now we have agilities, and we have seen what this guy can do. I mean, this is my beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy.
The Blonde Brady, I like it. We fit that one in. All right, there's a look at Kariv. From support to DPS, what is he going to be playing today? We mentioned the Soldier, and then, of course, always looking out for these men.
Yeah, here's the thing.
I'll go in soon, the duo.
They're running Kariv here. Like, what are they going to be running here? That's the question in my mind. I doubt it's going to be some weird, wacky triple DPS strategy. It's most likely Kariv going to be going back to the support role, or they could just be completely thrown as a curveball, and maybe Agility secretly has been training as Mercy on the down low.
Can you play single support?
Yes, you can play single support,
All right.
but it's not going to happen.
We'll see if they're going to do it today. We don't think so here at the desk. Let's send it to our casters to kick this one off. It's Uber with Mr. X.
Thank you, Puckets, and hello, Blizzard Arena. It's nice to have Puckets set some unreasonable expectations before the start of a match like this. We enjoy it. It probably won't be triple DPS single support, but I mean, it's reasonable to think that Kariv might be going back to the flex support role here.
Yes, I think you'll definitely see them probably run Ana Zen on this map on the defensive end. You see a lot of teams run Anna Zen, on that first point. You can see, also come in on that second point. I think that's why you bring both flex supports in. On offense, if you do want a Lucio, you could have, either Kariv or Unko, switch on to that hero. You can see the maps for the series, Hanamura, Nepal, Hollywood, and Route 66. We talked a little bit about, the lineup coming in for the Valiant. The Mayhem are coming off a pretty good week, Mitch. Probably the best one they've had thus far. Obviously, taking the Houston Outlaws to a Game 5, and then, finally winning a Game 5 against the Dallas Fuel in a reverse sweep.
And of course, I've been around and had a bit of a chat to the Mayhem. And I was in the makeup room with Zappas. Now, why would he be getting makeup, man? That's a big question. Maybe we see him today.
Makeup, maybe.
I mean, it's possible. I don't know, what his personal grooming routine is like, but he may have been getting ready to hit the battlefield. It's a possibility. It's something we keep in the back pocket. But for now, Hanamura, I mean, yesterday, Matt, our match was incredible between Seoul and New York on this particular stage. We saw some incredible Zenyatta play. We saw a lot of the Soldier 76, some big Genji action there as well. We're hoping for the same here. Now we do have Agilities back in the mix for the Los Angeles Valiant. It does indicate that Genji is going to be a go-to for them, considering that we saw Kariv play the Genji a little bit in the past, Matt. It wasn't exactly, shattering the world.
Yeah, I mean, with Agilities in the lineup, you can run him on Genji, you can run him on Roadhog if you want to run a little bit more of a tank-heavy composition. Going into their offensive side, it'll be the Valiant on defense to kick things off, so still there's some time to make some changes. Don't expect soon to be playing Bastion. Probably you'll see him switch off of this, whether it be to Tracer or 76. He'll be playing Tracer on the defensive end. The Mayhem looks like you'll have Tvik and Logix play Genji and Tracer, and then you'll have Manitin most likely switch over to D.Va. We have seen him play some Widowmaker in the past, so potentially they do have the ability to run that triple DPS that the desk was talking about.
Well, here we are. The stage is set, ladies and gentlemen. Florida Mayhem 1-5 for the stage. The Valiant 4-2. Let's kick it off here at Hanamura. It will be the Florida Mayhem attacking in predominantly white with some yellow.
You like this dive composition from Florida if there was like a 76 on the other side, right? You'd be able to get into that back right corner, take him out pretty quick. But as soon as they find out it's going to be Genji Tracer for the Valiant, maybe bring some hit scan of your own in.
Oh,
he's so far pushed in, Mitch. Nobody is even close to getting through the gate other than him at that time.
And you can see there was no way of him really avoiding the damage from Fate. It was a very easy cleanup for Agilities there. Perhaps overextended. I think he intended to go with Logix early on, but Logix actually got domed as soon as he tried to walk through the doorway by, I think, Unko, and he had to back out.
It was soon, actually. He started to go around the corner here, and he tried to dart into the right to go around on a flank. And Soon is actually just sitting there. He got him so weak, forced him to recall.
Again!
Tvik goes in again. So the closest person to him is Swoosh, who is, up on that ledge on the top left. He's forced to go all the way back. So the first two pushes for the Mayhem don't even really result in much. Only, 2 eliminations up until this point.
I mean, we talked about this before, and it's been a point of contention that we've held with the Florida Mayhem, is that their dives, the way they're constructed, don't seem to be overly coordinated. Often Swoosh isn't with the rest of the team when he needs to be, or vice versa. This one looks a lot better, though. Unko's down to start off the fight here. Kariv is also going to be cut down. This time, Tvik, Logix, and Swoosh get in the same place at the same time. But Agilities might have something to say about this. Zebasai's down. Swoosh goes down to the Dragonblade, but Agilities now lacks support on this point. Soon and Fate are nearby. It's a 3v3, man.
Yeah, Soon actually connects with Manitin with the Pulse Bomb, so pretty big Pulse Bomb gets him weak. Logix will take out Fate with his own Pulse Bomb, and obviously the Mayhem will have that spawner advantage, but Agilities and Soon trying to keep this going. Their supports coming off of respawn right now, so now the Mayhem will start to take the point. You get saving grace here for the Valiant. If you wanted to contest, it's only going to be the second checkpoint popping up now.
I think they're going to try, Matt. They've actually got 5 players grouped up fairly close. They have to go for it now. They can't back away. So Envy moves up onto the point first. He's desuited very early on there. Logix has been involved in a lot of these kills so far. And there it is. They've got it. And also, the Valiant are now caught out in the open. This could be dangerous. This could be where they turn this into a quick snowball, Matt.
Oh, they do lose Swoosh, though. So you lose that main tank. It's going to take him a while to get back into the action. So with that one kill, you may not see them push all the way forward. It's going to force Logix to back up as he gets weak at the hands of Soon. They do have some ultimates to use here, Florida. They do have that Dragon Blade plus Transcendence combo. You do have Transcendence on the other side, and then Kariv can also give Fate that nano boost, right? That damage reduction, and then you can see him Primal Rage. You keep your Winston up for so long.
I was about to get excited, man, and Swoosh got picked off. That could have been dangerous territory for the Valiant if the initiation was still present for the Mayhem. But here's some initiation of another kind. The Florida Mayhem coming, and that's a sleep dart! Oh, Tvik napping on the job, can't be happy. You can see hardly definitely a change in expression on his face, but you know he's being frustrated by that one. Logic's pulse bomb falls a little bit short, and now Fate's going to get a primal range. Agility's another blade. So far, they've been good this game, and this one, it's no different. He's already found 2, and both supports have fallen to his hands.
And Tavika is building up towards that Dragon Blade rather quickly, as you know, the rest of these kills will come down in favor of the Valiant. He did make some good progress, though, there for the Mayhem on point B. Look, they're going to have 2 ticks.
That's huge, considering how scattered that fight was, and the fact that Florida kind of looked at a disadvantage for the entirety of it. That's unbelievable.
And now they're going to have Zebosai go, okay, so this is interesting. I thought you would have actually kept Tavik on Genji because he's so close to another blade and relative, I mean, 60%. You probably could have gotten that blade before Transcendence could have came out on the side of the Valiant. And then you would have been in a good position because there's not a lot of peel in terms of both supports for the Valiant, right? It's really on Unko to protect Kareev. Kareev, if he misses that Sleep Dark, he's going to drop. So you would have been able to get both supports of that Genji Dragon Blade.
This is the classic get the 76 on the high ground and pocket him strat. You can see Tavik is where he wants to be right now. He needs a tactical visor to make the most of this. There was a bit of a tickle on the point there. It was an attempt for Logics to go there and draw players forth, and he did pull soon back, in all fairness. Tavik in danger, but again, Zebosai provided the healing by the Caduceus staff, and Fate's jumped on in there. He's getting taken very low. Swoosh is about 10 HP, but he's getting healed up himself. No, he's down.
Yeah, but now because this fight's taking so long to get Tavik over towards the high ground, Unko is going to have his Transcendence. Kareev will have a nano boost, so you've let both of those supports get their ultimates here. That'll be the Transcendence trying to keep everybody up. It'll be the blade that comes out from Agility.
He knows how to deliver with blades, this man. There's no doubt about it. He'll find one, Super shuts him down, though. Again, Zenyatta able to cut the street of the Genji short. But the Florida Mayhem have to pull out after that one. Much more to be done. The tanks of Los Angeles Valiant really getting involved.
You know, the Mayhem had some time where they didn't have to change off of that composition right away. You know, it would have been nice to see them get at least one more shot with that Dragon Blade before, switching off of your Lucio and your Genji to try and get this high ground control, play a little bit slower. It was working when they were playing that dive, right? Just making that game a little bit faster, and also you make the game faster when you have new players playing different roles, right? You can throw their timing off guard. With Kareev going back to support, now Agility's coming in as DPS.
Logix gets his way into the backline. He actually gets the stick here. It's not even enough to desuit Envy, though. Envy's now getting healed up in the process, but Unko is down. Manatin was at least able to find this Zenyatta and move from the equation, and Manatin just behind the lantern to avoid getting blown up here. Zulpad down, Florida already running out of bleeds in this fight.
Yeah, they use their Valkyrie there, trying to keep Tavik alive. They're not able to do so. Swoosh holds on to his Primal Rage. Manatin jumps off the side there. As the Valiant will hold on yet again, starting to rack together some good holds. So now Zebosai will go back to Lucio here. So now you're going to try, instead of just kind of pocketing Tavik, whether there be a damage boost or the healing, you're going to try and just speed everybody up to the high ground.
Oh, that's really nice from Soon. Managed to keep that crosshair over Tavik for so much of that fight, despite the fact that he was moving rather erratically. Soon as a pulse bomb here. Looking at Logix, but realizing Logix has a bit of backup, it needs to double blink, triple blink back. Gets some healing from Kareev. Gives a bit of point time over, and Logix just finishes him off in one go. That could be the opening, but Manatin's getting chucked down by Agilities in the corner this entire time. This forces Banner into a bit of a self-destruct, but Fate's down. This is going to be the opening. Tavik has the perfect setup here on the high ground with a tactical visor. It doesn't get any simpler than that. Nice work from the Florida Mayhem. Slowly maneuvering themselves in a position to win that fight, and perhaps Soon biting off a little bit more than he could chew by trying to 1v2 outside on the right.
You know, the last three maps we saw Florida play in their final series, and they come back on Dallas. Logix was a beast, right? You remember that series? And he starts off this one playing. He's a player throughout their stage 1 and stage 2 thus far. We've been kind of critical of, what is he doing on the Tracer? Putting down pretty good damage numbers, right? But just not high in those final blows, just kind of working down tanks. Now you see him start to evolve a little bit, taking on some of these other Tracers, and the results he's able to put up.
Smug Logix feeling pretty good about himself. I think Tavik's only 2 final blows actually came with the tactical visor used at the end of the round.
Yeah.
So he had a very, very quiet start. Fortunately, when he was dropping back, it was Logix who was able to step up and deliver.
Zappis comes into this Florida Mayhem team, although he hasn't played with. Really positive guy, leader, I think can really help this Mayhem roster. I know if some of you guys follow them on Twitter or whatnot, you may have realized they have moved closer here. So they used to be pretty far away. So now
extra support staff now coming on board.
They're closer, extra support staff. So you see how these little things, right, just really help a team perform in game. They've started to really up their gameplay over the last 2 weeks because of all these adjustments that Florida's making, giving them more support.
And what's so astonishing about this team, Matt, is that even before these changes were made, these guys would still walk into the arena every day with their heads held high and a smile on their face. I mean, it's incredible how adversity is forward to these guys, even to a closer team.
Well, I think they've always had the belief that they were good enough. I really like that white.
That's
the,
nice,
the
right?
yellow. That
goes well.
dope.
It kind of reminds me of the
Completely
the Japan game.
threw off what I was going to talk about.
That's
That looks really nice.
Normally it's me that does that, so the fact that you've derailed yourself for once is kind of a nice change. Here we go, though, the Valiant! Time to step up and get their attack on.
Somebody needs to be responsible out of the two of us, and I figure there's zero chance of you doing that. So
What is up with you today, Matt?
I'll take on that role. They'll run soon on Widowmaker. So this is one of the things that you like when Kareev is on DPS, because Kareev can run the Widowmaker and you can still run that Tracer.
Right.
But it seems like they're going to put a lot of faith in agilities to pick up those kills on Genji.
From Widow to Mercy, in the space of one game, RIP Kareev 2018. Bit of a change here for the Valiant. Obviously, Soon is a very well-respected Widowmaker in his own right, and they've caught Zuppe out. He was on his own, lacking support, as is often the case with the Mayhem here. Out on his own, and now Soon's just trying to get a little bit of a better vantage point. And you can see it seems to have worked out. He's looking for Zebasai. Big chunk. Zebasai wasn't even paying attention. Soon nails it from across the map. I guess Zebasai was so invested in healing the rest of his team, man. He knew he may just have to give up his own life. Agilities, what a great save. Jumped in on Swoosh to keep Soon alive.
And they've been, Logix and Tavik have been just trying to pressure down Soon so much they haven't been able to kill him. Kareev has just been pocketing him, earns himself a Valkyrie off of that, uses it right at the beginning of the game. That's why you didn't see any help from either of those DPS players for the supports in the back. They've just been trying to take Soon out on this Widowmaker. They finally get him, but it's just going to be Logix and Manitin in Tavik alive here. As you're going to get some reinforcements coming off the spawn. The Mayhem are going to try and fight that.
It's a bit sloppy. They allow Manitin to get his resuit back. It doesn't really account for too much in the grand scheme of things, but it does allow the Valiant to get stalled out a little bit longer. You can see Zuppe and Zebo trying to push in. Tavik there as well with the reflect agility, just biding his time, and a slash to the jugular. And Tavik is down. We'll see.
Not good for the Mayhem here, Mitch. As you used your Dragon Blade, which did force out Transcendence on the other side, but now you don't have a support ult right now. If the Valiant go quick, they're going to be able to get Soon up on that high ground with 76, and they're going to be able to get a Blade off here with. We know the devastating things that Agilities can do with that Blade. Also, Transcendence against the Blade here, we have seen, even though that ultimate of Zenyatta is huge on the side of the Mayhem, you have to spread out so far, right? You're not going to be able to catch everybody in it.
See, Fate dropped onto the point. He's used Primal Rage while the rest of the fighting happens on the higher levels. That's Agilities. Dragon Blade, something that always should give you fear if you're facing him down, but Fate eventually drops on the point. I think the Valiant took a little bit too long to get a clear advantage in the high ground fight. It couldn't drop down to really support Fate. He was essentially 1v3, 1v4, even in Primal Rage.
And they were able to hold on to their Transcendence during that. So they use that Dragon Blade, you hold on to that big Zenyatta ult, because it's Swoosh with that Primal Rage, just knocking players up. I believe you also saw, I believe it was Manitin for the self-destruct. Maybe I just, it may have been Pulse Bomb actually, it came out from Logix. Yeah, same kind of animation on the screen, but they did use that Pulse Bomb, and they used Primal Rage there. So you used two of those ultimates, you were able to withstand that Dragon Blade that came out. So now you have Agilities play 76. This is these are the heroes we've seen Kareev really shine on over the last few weeks. You're seeing Soon and Agilities trade back and forth, and this is why they put Kareev on DPS, right? So they can have that Tracer all the time. Here's a big blade from Zvik.
I've seen this before. Zvik in with the Nano Blade. 2 kills is all he finds. He's actually quite low with even with the damage reduction. It could have been dangerous. 4 HP was all he had and survived. And there you go. 2 ultimates are committed to a winning fight for Florida Mayhem. That's worthwhile.
Yeah, so this is where the Valiant, you kind of get into really into why they made that change earlier, because now you don't have Verbo in it, so you don't really have your Lucio, right? Which, at this point, you may want a Lucio to get your 76 up to the high ground. The player playing 76 hasn't been the one who's been playing 76 over the last few weeks, and then now you kind of ruin that synergy with your Tracer as well, on which players to go after and finish off. So
yeah, I mean, if you actually, I don't know if you've seen Inside the LA Valiant episode 2, there was, we'll get back to this, but there was a lot of discussion between Verbo and Unco especially, a bit of a disagreement. So who knows if that manifested like a lineup change, but just for the brief time being. But Swoosh is down. There's actually, it's not really a fight happening on the high ground. It's just a couple of Transcendences being popped. You can see now that Manitin's just sort of popping up there. Not a whole lot going on in that part of the map. But Zebasai manages to pick off Unco at extreme range with the Ana, which is really impressive, something he does often when he gets to play this hero. And there's another Dragon Blade waiting in the wings for Tavik. Reflex done. He might just need to back away or get killed.
Yeah, he's been pushed out pretty far there. So it was Zebosai actually landed a pretty nice sleep dart onto Envy on top as well. So they use the Transcendence, probably trying to push, and then they lose their Diva right away for a few seconds, as it'll be Fate getting on the point here. They do get Logic's pretty weak. He's just trying to contest this right now. It's going to be Fate using Primal Rage as well. As you're really going to see the Valiant try and fight this, but out the high ground, Swoosh is taking out players.
Yeah, when does the support come, I guess, is my question for Fate on that low ground. He actually gets himself out of trouble eventually. We'll see that this high ground play is really interesting. It's taken the Valiant a long time to get a foothold up there. And in doing so, it leaves Fate on that low ground with Primal Rage for a long time and forcing him to abort mission. Now they're going to jump in though. It's going to be a Nanovisor coming out from Agility's Dragonblade in from above. Tvik has an Orb of Discord on him. Knows he needs to break line of sight. Agility's can't decide who he wants to shoot right now. But the Winston bubble in his way prevented most of the damage.
Well, it was a really nice play from Tvik because he jumps down right in front of Agility's and he uses the Reflect, right? And then he jumps up to the high ground, just forces Agility's to look in that direction. Then Swoosh got in his face. You pretty much burned that Tac Visor, and Nano didn't get much of it. It's going to be the Transcendence that comes in here for the Mayhem, but it's Kariv who lands a Sleep Dart there on a Manitou.
Zebosai, fantastic Bio Grenade as well. I think he landed on Kariv and Agility's, who are already low HP. Then Florida Mayhem follows up with a Transcendence of their own. And they didn't even need to wipe, they didn't need to team wipe the Valiant there. Los Angeles were already on the back foot and retreating. And this is a good sign for the Mayhem. The Valiant now are only about 15 seconds ahead, and that's an amount of time that's going to dwindle very quickly. There's a nano boost for Zebosai.
You know, we were talking a little bit about Agilities on Soldier, and to be honest, he's playing very well. I mean, 26 elims, 19 final blows for Agilities on 76 at Genji. Throughout our first two halves thus far, so the guy can definitely play the role. It's just that, you're not getting that game out of soon right now.
Ooh, that's rough. The stick on towards Swoosh, and he did actually get himself a nano boost, man. It wasn't enough. Oh, Tvik trying to go for something, but Agility shuts him down. Point blank with the Helix Rocket, and this should be it. Here's the opening that we're looking for now. Nano Visor, but most of the damage was done before that one. Agility's getting stuck with the Pulse Bomb, and Logic's now trying to keep himself scarce on the point. Swoosh is going to join, and now the Doomfist hits the fray. It's Tvik now going over. Primal Rage for Fate on the point. Swoosh getting buffeted around. Not much he can do, but Tvik did find Unco on that high ground. He manages to isolate him. Tvik trying to run off there in the background, and Florida actually may have control here.
Yeah, Manitou has a self-destruct, so he's going to be able to stay alive for a very long time. As Soon gets caught off guard, that'll be Envy using his self-destruct just to get back in his mech. And the Valiant don't even get a tick out of that match. They invested so many ultimates there. It's going to be very difficult now to take this next point. You do have a Transcendence here for Florida, and Tvik actually took an amazing route as Doomfist. He went up that top staircase and he used the rocket punch just to get up the staircase quick, then the uppercut, and then the slam right on top of one player. But yeah, that's a big pick there.
Long range from Unco delivers the headshot. Again, a 5-man roster for the Florida Mayhem, dropping to the point now. It's not what they'd like to work with.
Yeah, and Zube lands a shot at range on as soon as he jumps onto the point. He has a pulse bomb. That was probably one ultimate you were going to try and use onto the supports in the back. It'll be another nano boost here used onto Agilities, and he gets pushed all the way out by Manitou.
Time is short now for the Valiant. It's time to go, but Envy's already been desuited. Manitou gets a biotic grenade to keep him in his suit for the time being, and Agilities is just hoping to try and farm himself another tactical visor. Unco found Tvik. Again, that's 2 times in a row that the Zenyatta for the Valiant has picked up Tvik on that Genji, but there's more to be done. Zilpe's going to sit in the background. He sees the Transcendence pop and knows he needs to reciprocate now. Double Transcendence in over the point. Nano boost for Swoosh here as he tries to pressure away Agilities. Take control of the high ground, but no one's really there. Jumps in front, and look at Swoosh get in between the Valiant and the point. Great play from him. Agilities is forced out of position. He does get the DC on Manitou. That's all he's going to have. The Valiant are so scattered all over the place. Soon on the low ground, looking pretty average, and Flake tries to throw himself into the point with a Primal Rage with the Mayhem. The defensive nature of this team, now we're really starting to see that manifest here on Hanamura. They'll take the first map.
You can see the teamwork now with this team. The communication, they're always in the right position now. Look like a completely different team than they were in stage 1. Obviously, the meta favors them pretty nice right now. Agilities for the Valiant had himself a game. 30 limbs, 21 final blows. In map number 1, it's not enough, though, to take out Florida.
A little bit quiet from his compatriots soon there. Both of those DPSs need to work in tandem for the Valiant's approach to work out. We're going to be back, ladies and gentlemen, just after the break with our second map. It's going to be Control.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Omen by HP, the official PC and display of the Overwatch League. Intel, the official computer processor of the Overwatch League. And by T-Mobile, America's best unlimited network.
pumped for this matchup.
Florida turned up yesterday versus Houston. Dallas in a bit of a slump. This could go either way.
Yes, AKM. AKM feeling it.
Fuel look back on track today, led by Harry Hook and his Sleep Darts, currently up 2-0 in the half.
Big fight win there for Florida. They turn the tides in this one.
Okay, the map score 2-1. None of us were ready for that.
Your face is just like, what?
Come on, 2 more. Let's get it.
Unbelievable! It's Chips, but he won!
Good job, boys.
Go one more.
It's a map 5! We're on the cusp here. The Florida Mayhem taking their second win. Not just the stage, the season. Surely that's it. Surely it's over. Tvic is stalling in the backline and they've done it! The Florida Mayhem is their second win of the season.
Yes! Good job, guys. Oh!
They complete a reverse sweep of their own, taking out the Dallas Fuel.
The future is bright for the Florida Mayhem, and this is where it begins. Yes, quite the display from our European friends at the Florida Mayhem there to get that reverse sweep on the Dallas Fuel. And I mean, they're starting this game off in similar style, Matt. They're looking good. Hanamura, I mean, I'm sorry, that didn't look all that close.
No, Logix was a very good player there for Florida. We talked a little bit about it towards the end. He dies twice, I think.
In the whole map.
Yeah, through the whole map. So yeah, I mean, 20 limbs, 15 final blows, 2 deaths. You have Verbo who comes in now for Kareem. So interesting substitutions coming in here for the Los Angeles Valiant. Seem to be kind of going away from what we've seen throughout the first few weeks thus far.
Yeah, this is definitely a change-up for them, which is kind of interesting to me, Matt, after they had such a successful end to last week. If you obviously recall their matches to close, I think it was the Outlaws, of course, that they managed to topple with Kareem in that DPS position. So we're seeing a change now. It's curious. Honestly, Agilities would be the player that maybe is the difference maker or the different factor coming into the Valiant.
He played
didn't
great.
play last week. He played really well.
Played great,
really well. So he's not the problem.
And I think you bring in, I think this substitution makes sense if you want to run Lucio the entire time here on Nepal. Obviously, Lucio just gets more play in general. Even stage 1, he got a decent amount of play.
Well, I did.
On
I mean,
control,
we had a lot of Oasis maps where we saw Lucio being a mainstay, and that's why players, for example, like Boink were coming in a a lot. Ilios and
I mean,
Black.
it sounds super obvious, but just it's the speed to get to the point.
Gotta go
There's
fast.
1 point. Gotta go fast. Is there Ricky Bobby? Is that a? Yeah.
I'm getting my. If you're not first, you're last. That's it, fam. So we're going to be jumping in first to to Shrine. Sorry. So we won't be seeing Village yet. We won't be seeing Sanctum. On Data's Gold will remain untouched for the time being. Thanks for that one, ZP. I'd love to just forget about that one, but it's stuck in my brain now. And so what we saw last map, we saw Logix really step up in a big way, right? 2 deaths, like you said, really big performance from him. Tvic actually didn't really get any sort of... He only got final blows at the end of the first half, right? When he popped the tactical visor, so he had a very quiet start. He's the kind of player that if he's slow to start, you can have problems.
But he does
stepped up.
He does put down some damage though that Logix is able to clean up. See, oh wow, that's just a large chunk of time with this same exact lineup. If that's the case, then the Valiant have watched any footage on the Mayhem. They probably are expecting this. Which, this is a good map, in Nepal, where Tvic can show a lot of his different heroes, right? You can play Pharah here, you can play Genji, 76 as well, so surprise, even Junkrat, right? I mean, I'm surprised we haven't seen more heroes from him.
These are mirrored team compositions, and I feel like this particular matchup puts a lot of pressure on the D.Va players on both sides, right? Defense Matrix needs to be used. Oh, okay, never mind. Envy just cleans up Tvic there. Talk about D.Va players being important. That Defense Matrix is crucial, not only to shut down the 76 at long range and with Tac Visor, but also Tracer's trying to blow your backline up.
Yeah, the Mayhem were the team that was able to get that first pick, and they get control of the point here early on, so they're just trying to hold on for Tvic and Zupe to come off the spawn here as soon they clean up Manitin, so you don't have that D.Va in. Still have the point here controlled by the Florida Mayhem though, and they're doing a good job of keeping Swoosh shut. They've earned themselves a sound barrier right now, and Tvic is going to have... Tvic's going to have a tactical visor. We'll see if he uses it.
And Logix gets into the backline there and does take a very important pulse bomb. Agility's had a tactical visor and probably wouldn't have been afraid to use it, especially given how staggered out Florida Mayhem were in that fight, and that Manitin was having his defense matrix tested as it was.
And you were probably using that sound barrier to give Tvic the extra shields to use his own tac visor, but he holds onto it and you see, fantastic, right around the corner, connects with 2.
Didn't even really look, did he? He just kind of had a feeling they'd be around the corner and just drops it off. Soon goes down. Logix, Matt, is having an incredible match so far.
I mean, out of the 6, actual final blows here for the Florida Mayhem. He's got 4 of them, so you can see already.
So 66% of the final blows have been...
Well, that was really kind of the difference in the first map, right? Everybody else is pretty much even. It was just that Tracer battle, which, you know, coming into Overwatch League, you'd expect Logix to get the better of a lot of Tracers in the lead, right? He just hadn't shown it up until this point.
No, I mean, now we're starting to wake up. I mean, I'll be fair, Matt, it's taken him a heck of a long time if that's really going to be the case. But here's the Transcendence being forced out by Switch. So well done by Florida Mayhem's Winston there to really force the issue with the Valiant and you know, force their hand. Now it's going to be Agilities to come in with a tactical visor, but the bubble is kind of in his way. Zupa gets knocked around. Good combination with Fate there to make sure that they can't run or hide from Agilities.
But the Mayhem here can just kind of play for the point up to 93%. They can just try and force maybe another ult out, but will not be the case. It'll be the Valiant flipping the point back in their favor, but it's just going to take one fight here for the Mayhem to take it. They're going to have Sound Barrier and Tactical Visor in the next fight. So really, well, it's good that Envy has that self-destruct, so you can get that second mech back, because if he was to be taken out, and then you have the Tactical Visor on the other side, everyone kind of has to spread for the Valiant then. That would allow you to take the point rather easily. Verbo does have a Sound Barrier of his own to help protect LA. So, man, soon Logic's very low. Has to dart out.
Yeah, Logix now has to opt out of the Tracer battle and look elsewhere, maybe just to try and flank around, charge up another pulse bomb. We know Logix spends a lot of his time shooting tanks, actually, kind of his preferred way of playing. And now with Zupa and Vic already down, I'm surprised to see Florida actually commit to this fight with a Sound Barrier as well. Interesting, I guess the split-second decision-making left them a little bit awry. And Logix was the only player to find a kill in that fight, so Zevo, unfortunately, his ultimate is just thrown in the bin.
Yeah, they had used that Sound Barrier, like, just as those two players died. So
unfortunate.
Unco is able to take out Zupe at range, and then Soon is still playing over by that mega health pack where we saw him, you know, right below where he is now. And he's able to just come right up behind Tavik, just basically one-clip him there.
That's what he does. I mean, if you know, Logix is a player that likes to shoot tanks more, Soon is definitely a guy that loves to go for enemy traces in the back line. Pulse bombs here as well. Soon would love to deliver there. Doesn't actually find the kill with that one, but Manhattan went low. Not a pulse bomb that means huge amounts in the grand scheme of things, but he gets them fairly often. Goes down to Zupe though. The Zen battle being won out by the Florida Mayhem this time around. And Agilities again is going to come in with another tactical visor. He fights two. Manhattan gets desuited and is helpless as he hangs suspended in midair as he's turned into a pincushion from the 76. Fate, lovely primal rage just to smush both the supports of Florida.
They did end up using their Sound Barrier there, so now Florida is going to have a minor edge in terms of support ultimates. Tavik is behind the Valiant right now.
With a tactical visor.
With the tactical visor.
Going to force Envy to turn his head, or the whole of the Valiant collapse on him.
He's going to use it. He's right behind Uncle. You see the position that he's playing in.
Now, and look at it. He has drawn Envy away, so let's see if Florida can actually do something with this now. The Diva for the Valiant is missing. He's out of base. He's AWOL. He's up now just trying to get rid of Tavik, and they do get him. It's a one-for-one trade. So now the only tank for the Valiant isn't on the point. They have to come in together. So they pretty much give up control. They lose soon now. Logix had so much room to work with because he had the tanks, and the Valiant did not. Envy getting desuited here and trying to make ends meet with a bunny blast. But it won't happen. Zupe cleans him up. It's going to be the point going back to the Florida Mayhem. And the nick of time, they retake control. What a lovely set play based off the 76 getting in the back line. They draw Envy out of position. And they hit the home run, Matt. Stunning.
Yeah, Tavik just, you know, still lurking. It's something that, you know, in respawn game modes in a lot of games, it's something that like kind of goes, I know, overlooked, just kind of tracking players of who's alive, who's dead, you know, how much spawn timer does somebody have to come back into the fight.
Where are they?
Where are they, right? I mean, yeah, it just seems like the Valiant just kind of, you know, forgot a little bit about where Tavik was. Or maybe somebody said that, you know, maybe they thought he jumped off the side, right? Because, you know, you lose a fight, he's so out of position, he would jump off. Maybe they didn't think he was really a factor coming around there, but he had that tac visor, it was huge.
Not having Envy means Fate gets blown up instantly, and then Logix has a lot of more room to work than Soon does. I love it, man. It's just really lovely. You love to see those things work out, I guess. And Jordy's going to be on the Farah here. Oh, Zupe, he's found Buck. Okay. The Mayhem start off well. Zupe found two individuals straight off the bat, and Unco again losing out. I'd love to see the head-to-head between these two, because Zupe is generally not considered the more aggressive Zenyatta.
It's a fantastic breakdown there, Mitch. That was very well for the Mayhem. 4 kills at the beginning for Florida. I would also agree with you that is a very well fight for Florida. I can see your face. You're just like so tilted by me. It's all right. The Agilities comes back as it takes out Tavik from the sky. So now Agilities should be able to do some work getting that 76 out of the way.
Logix now to drop down close to that first pulse bomb. Love's just charging him up on Divas, scratching the pink paint. Now he's challenging out Soon on the point here. And he does have a bit of backup there from Verbo, who's low himself. Logix wants Verbo, his Discord orb for a moment. He gets him with a quick slap there. The melee attack, getting him across the line in terms of that damage. With Envy being down, it's going to be a close fight. Oh, Agility's coming in. Barrage, Maniton, and Zevasai are going to go down, and Agilities was just over on the other side of the point. Logix finds his pulse bomb kill map, but it might be too little too late. We'll have to see. Attempted resurrect here. That's ballsy! Real ballsy from Marco.
Kill him.
He brought Fate back!
How is he still alive?
Laughing in the face of death, Matt. He just doesn't give a damn.
They finally got it. It was a pretty nice show there from Logic. Says, his stall for a little bit allows him to get 41% on the point. This is what surprised me. Usually Rocket Barrage, we always joke around like you're pretty much dead when you use it, but see Manitin, he's D-Mac, doesn't have that defense matrix or just his body as Diva to throw in the way. So Unka will have Valkyrie here up in the sky to provide Agilities with even more healing, the rest of the team as well. They'll have both support ults here from Florida. It's interesting going towards this high ground. Well, so it's interesting to go up there because you're allowing Agilities to get angles where you can't really see him and just shoot straight down, and then also you're providing Soon with an easy spot to just throw a pulse bomb, take out a few members. They're going to invest Sound Barrier and Primal Rage into this as well, Florida.
Agilities is going to be content to sit back for the time being. He may almost have dubbed 2 barrages in 2 consecutive fights, which is significant considering how Farah charges up her ultimate and what ratio that occurs on. But with Logix doing so much work on the point and Agilities not being able to be directly involved because of how dangerous it is for him to get close to the ground, the Mayhem clean up off the back of Logix, who, Matt, is continuing to be a huge factor here.
Yeah, and Sush made a pretty nice play with Primal Rage. He's actually able to jump in the sky and get Unka weak enough that Unka wants to get out of that fight, which Agilities, then, I mean, you just put a few shots into him, he gets weak, he's forced to back out, and then you get absolutely nothing from your Pharah, where right now you're relying on the damage that Agilities is putting down for the rest of the members to finish these kills off.
Yeah, and Agilities doesn't want to fly low enough to get one clip by Logix, which is definitely a possibility. Verbo quickly joins Agilities, realizes he was getting chucked down by Tvik. Now it's Tvik, doesn't want to be in the murder room with Fate, but he's gone, and now the tactical visor time. Sound Barrier is hastily employed to try and stave off the damage from Tvik here, but he doesn't seem to be too worried about the Diva in his face. Zevasai takes responsibility for removing Envy from the battlefield, and the Valiant are kept at arm's length and are kept away from the point.
And you're going to have a Sound Barrier here for the Mayhem. It's going to be Zevasai who goes back to the spawn, trying to taxi Zupe all the way there to get that Zenyatta in the game. I'm surprised they're still running this far here, Mitch. It's going to be a self-destruct that comes up in the sky. It's going to force them out of the way. It's going to be Soon, though, opening things up with a big pulse bomb kill. Gets Logix extremely weak as well.
Soon does well to react and read into the fact that the Mayhem were about to get aggressive, but Logix escaped with a slither of health, and he comes back with a vengeance to find Fate and Agilities. Logix finding 2. Soon now just trying to do the same, trying to lift his own weight as much as his opposition Tracer has been, and that's not too terrible. Zevasai has been fallen. Swoosh. 5 HP on Soon, but he's going to pulse bomb. He won't get a chance to use it in the Florida Mayhem. Got a couple players up on the point. It's just Envy against the world. The D-Suit coming in now. Agilities is way too far away to get there into Florida Mayhem. They're going to go into half-time with a 2-0 lead. Perhaps a reverse sweep just won't be necessary this time. Swoosh turning up in the crowd. And Logix is on fire.
And if you're a Florida fan, you have to love to see this, because this team has been so close in a lot of these maps throughout stage 1. Now they're starting to close these maps out in their favor. A big reason why, like you said, Logix, 17 final blows there on Nepal. The team as a total had 38 kills.
He has just been dominating. The Tracer play has been beautiful. Soon had a very good second map. His first one wasn't great, but still by comparison has been a little bit muted, a little bit duller. Let's see if he can sharpen his edge after we hit that halftime break. We'll see you in a bit.
Okay, we'll go with ramp it too, okay? Yeah. 2, 1, go. Going. Send. No, turn a monkey on point. Okay, we do monkey point. I'm gonna go back soon. Almost back. I'm dead. Play point. Yeah, they're coming. I almost have beat. 96. They're all ramp. You're 5v5, you can win. Mongy mega. I can ramp with beat now. I can't. Okay, waiting. 3, 2. No. I got soldier stack, No more. Peel. We're still 4v4. Yeah, not over. Come point. Monkey. It's low mega. Tracer is our man still.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Sour Patch Kids. Sour, sweet, gone.
Florida's never been nothing but an underdog, but at the half, it's Florida up 2-0. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. The mayhem really heating things up in the last 9 days. We're back in action. I'm Puckett here at the desk. You know me, you know my familiar face, and you know my friends. We've got Bren, we've got the great reinforcement, someone awesome up there in the crowd. Guys, what is happening? Florida Mayhem is now taking out some of the big names here in the league. They had the reverse sweep over Dallas. This is now, what, 5 maps in a row?
All right, Puckett, missed me with that surprise stuff, okay? Because I knew exactly what was cracking, right? If we did predictions, I was going to say Florida, right? My points that I was making were that Florida, their play style matches up perfectly into the way that Valiant play, right? The high-tempo play style, the way they've been playing. Yes, you can make an argument that they haven't quite been playing how they usually do with the high-tempo style, but still, I predicted that they were going to be able to take this from Valiant today.
Well, we know
they haven't yet, but they're very close to it.
They're one game away.
Yeah.
They just have to avoid the reverse sweep, which we have seen happening a little bit too often. Let's talk about the Valiant, though, because this is a squad that came in as the favorite, and they're showing us some new looks today, some new compositions. Agilities is back in the lineup, and this guy was a star at times throughout Stage 1. Stage 2, we haven't seen a lot from him. What did we see throughout our first 2 games?
Well, we saw some Genji and we saw some Soldier. In general, it seems like Valiant are putting a lot of resources into Agilities thus far. They want him to pop off with the blades. We see Kariv actually putting a lot of nano boosts onto Agilities, but he hasn't really popped off. I mean, he got a kill on Tvik, but it didn't result in a point cap, so far, it seems like Agilities isn't your go-to pop-off guy. He has plays at times, but consistently, he can't really deliver for the Valiant.
Brenton, you were saying earlier, you were looking at the stats on the tablet as the game was playing. You said, well, Agilities has better numbers than Tvik right now in a similar role, but you said I shouldn't read too much into that. Can you explain why the numbers may be a bit misleading if you're looking purely at the stats here?
It can be misleading, right? Because the reason I say that is precisely because what we were talking about before. The nano boosts are being used onto Agilities. The healing is all being prioritized onto Agilities and keeping him alive. He's staying alive longer as a result, and he's putting in more damage because of the damage amplification that you get from nano boost, but he's not getting as much done with it. Because it's such a focal point, it's actually more of a weakness than a sort of a boon for the side of Valiant, because now Florida Mayhem have one singular player that they can consistently shut down on a regular basis, not even just by killing him. I've noticed in the positioning of Swoosh, the positioning of Maniton, they've been prioritizing basically saving Defense Matrix, saving the bubble for those big moments when he's using the the blade, or when he's using the tactical visor along with the nano boost, and completely stopping him from getting anything done with it at all. So yes, he's got bigger numbers as a result, but because he's this massive target and he's being shut down, he's not actually getting as much impact as Tvik is when he's let loose.
In the first half, it looks like Florida Mayhem. This is an improved lineup, not just individually, but also with the team cohesion. Which one has a bigger impact today? Is it everybody on the team just stepping up in their own role, or is it the squad working together better in your eyes, John?
I think everyone's stepping up, actually. I've not been a big fan of Swoosh, not for the obvious reasons, but because he hasn't really been the aggressive tank you need to have when you're playing Tvik on the Genji necessarily. But this time it seems like Swoosh, he is really good at controlling space and playing the tank versus tank game, of course. But this time he's setting up the dives correctly. We heard the voice communication. He was counting down 3, 2, 1. Now let's dive, and it works out a lot better. And Tvik as such shines much better as a star.
All right, I want to talk about the Tracers again because we hit this before the match. Logics versus Soon. So far, it's Florida on top of the leaderboard. Is Logic's also winning the 1v1s here?
Yeah, hell yeah.
Individual
he is.
tracer battle?
Listen, we've got some general highlights that we can run through of Logic just absolutely shutting down Soon on a regular basis. But the guy has been absolutely incredible in that regard. And he's had a mental game this entire first 2 maps. Like it's
He's
ridiculous.
back.
It's the old Logics, right? This is what we were talking about for so long. And we were waiting for it to see, and we didn't see it in stage 1 because it was the Mercy meta. Because his targets, he couldn't play that aggressive, fast, high velocity
I mean,
play
just
style.
look at this. He has more than half the deaths of Soon, of course.
Yeah.
More limbs. I mean, more pulse bomb kills. Every stat is in Logic's favor. It just means that Soon has no way to shut down the backline of Florida Mayhem. Super gets way more done than Unko and Kariv so far this game. So because Logix is able to win this Tracer versus Tracer duel, it just gives Florida Mayhem such a boost in every role.
All right, Brent, you've been pretty confident with Florida so far. You've been talking them up here at the desk, and when we're not on camera, I want the official flip-flop. Is it going to happen? Are you going officially with Florida through and through? How does this series play out? What's the Brent prediction?
Miss me again with that. Listen, here's the crack here, right? Listen,
Here's the crack.
Zappis, I reckon they got some big rings coming in, right? I've seen the man. He's been lurking in the background. They said they're not going to be playing him, but I think they're telling porcupines. Honestly, I feel like this is the play right now. I feel like this is the play. They put Zappis in. They throw it completely 180 the opposite direction.
You can see it on the monitor.
No. Ignore that. Ignore that.
Says he's...
Johnny, no. Listen, it's turned off. Don't worry. It's my prediction. I think they're going to be putting in Zappis. Don't worry about where I got the information from. Just know.
All right,
I'm making the prediction.
Brent may or may not see the future here. I wonder how that happens with so much technology surrounding us here at the desk. That is going to do it for our halftime coverage. But have you ever pressed down so much it looks like up to you? Well, you might want to check out your settings. Earlier this week, we sat down with Unko from the LA Valiant for this week's game set, sponsored by Omen by HP.
Unko is one of the best, just pure mechanical Zenyatas in all the Overwatch League.
Benjamin Chevasson, alias Unko, je joue pour Los Angeles Valiant, au rôle de flex support. J'ai ma propre sensi qui est 12 in-game et 800 DPI. Ça fait une grosse sensi, du coup je joue au poignet.
We will have Unko just trying to hold his own here. Trance is still here, but he's playing so patiently, just waiting on using it.
Dans un premier temps, je vais dans les paramètres vidéo, donc full screen, ensuite je mets en 1080 et je mets en 240 Hz si c'est possible, sinon 144. Pour les stats, je les mets en on parce que j'aime bien voir mon ping et mes FPS. Anti-aliasing off, 75% de render scale, et ça je ne touche pas. C'est pour les couleurs, donc je laisse par défaut.
MG can't eat up those biotic orbs from Unko and limit the damage or healing that they would otherwise provide, but let's see what the plan is.
Mes persos préférés sont Zenyatta, Moira et Ana. Pour ce qui est du changement des réglages de perso, il y a juste pour Ana où j'utilise le short crosshair. Je mets 40 de sensi en scope. L'ultimate, je mets F à la place de Q. Mes coups de mêlée, moi, c'est sur le côté de ma souris. J'utilise aussi V pour demander quand t'as besoin de vie. W pour annoncer à combien de pourcents je suis sur l'ultimate. Gameplay, ouais, c'est un nouveau truc de Overwatch. Les points de capture qu'on voit quand on est en partie. Au début, c'est bien de l'avoir à 100, mais après, une fois qu'on sait où c'est, 0.
You know that Unko's going to be dishing those orbs of destruction now as he's trying to dismantle this defense for the shock.
It's a 57% scoped accuracy. That's pretty nuts.
Merci d'avoir regardé. N'oubliez pas d'écouter mes conseils et bonne chance.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Omen by HP, the official PC and display of the Overwatch League. Intel, the official computer processor of the Overwatch League. And by T-Mobile, America's best unlimited network.
Zappis, Florida Mayhem, Flex. I made it up when I was like 12 years old. The first iteration was Zap Shooter, then I kind of shortened it to Zappis at some point, and I've been playing with it for like 15 years or something.
What's that? What is a Shadow Man there?
Here he is, ladies and gentlemen, Zappis! Reinforcements have arrived.
I kind of grew up in a small city in Finland. In Turku there's like 200,000 residents. Kind of like low-key life. Went to school, played some video games. Nothing too special.
Zappis just cleans out that inner house.
My experience before Overwatch League was in Contenders Season 1. We won it with my team Giganti, and then most of our players got picked up by Overwatch League teams.
Congrats to Giganti, Contenders European champions.
My goals for the Overwatch League is succeed with my team. I'm really happy to be playing with my Mayhem buddies, and I'm really looking forward to working with them and getting the standings up.
Previously known as a Team Fortress 2 player, Zappis now makes his way into the Overwatch League. Welcome, Zappis!
Fitting in with the Mayhem already.
Oh yeah, man, I'm feeling it. I've known this guy for a long time. His first Overwatch team was, he joined in about late 2015. His first LAN was at the Takeover in Germany. And he played for a team called SG1. He played with Fraggy, way back then. These guys were all around the very early scene. And one of the few players from that Giganti roster that wasn't picked up, he and Davin, both of them didn't initially get into the Overwatch League, but we always kind of knew he'd be a contestant.
Right.
There'd be a case for him to be in this league.
Well, you saw he's labeled as a flex. Usually we see players, flex support, flex tank. He is going to play a lot of different things for this Mayhem roster. He can play Widowmaker, he can play Zen, he can play Ana, a little bit of Roadhog, some Mei, his Zarya is very good. McCree,
Winston.
He can play so many different heroes that it's almost like a different version of Hydration, like how Hydration does so many things for the Gladiators, right? It's kind of like their version of it. Just he doesn't really play like that Genji. At least you don't know, right?
By the way, if you want someone to blame the quad tank meta on, well, now you have him. Zappis is the main reason why the Ninjas in Pajamas roster ruled the European Overwatch scene for so long off quad tank and Ana. He was actually the DPS player on that team, Matt, and then he decided he felt like playing Ana, so they built around him. Yeah. He also played a lot of Winston on that roster. Quad tank was so strong. I mean, do you remember DreamHack? We were there. Yeah. It was NIP versus Fnatic. Like the Fnatic had like Custer and Coolmat on the Fnatic roster, and of course NIP managed to win that one out. Well, actually, they lost that one in 5, but it was incredible to see them go head-to-head. It's good to have these faces back here.
They end up losing that one on Novalskaya. That was the final
double
one.
hit scan.
That was a 6 series, but now you'll see the Valiant on defense. So the Valiant don't make any subs, so no Kareev yet again. It'll be soon now on 76, and then you'll have Agilities play Junkrat on the defensive end. Now, for the Mayhem, what do they decide to do? With this lineup, looks like you could run triple tank Hanzo if you wanted to run like you could run a Zarya here and potentially like build a Graph. Maybe it's Vic plays Zarya, you run quad tank at the beginning.
I'm pretty sure Zappis plays Hog here and Mane just keeps playing Diva. I think we're being trolled a little bit. But
Manitin does have a very good Roadhog as well.
He does. I don't know about Zappis' Diva. Maybe he's been working on it here. Maybe he debated me. We'll see if that's going to be the case. Obviously, with Logic's out, we're going to see more of that tank-heavy composition. It's time for the new look Florida Mayhem to take to the field. And Zappis will be piloting the big Diva mech.
And you love to see Zappis in, right? But they do take Logic's out, who Logic's was really taken care of soon in the first 2 maps. I guess a little bit of a luxury here is Hollywood. It was not the best Tracer map, right? It's not a map where you necessarily need Tracer all the time. It'll be Unko, though, who takes out Tavik, who switched over, just before the game started from Hanzo to Junkrat. So you lose that big Junkrat damage.
Okay, so Florida Mayhem kind of get the positioning they want, but they do it without their main source of damage. Now, Tavik also can't get back into the fray without really being escorted by his team. He's very vulnerable. Soon's actually going to go outside and chase him as he tries to come back in. In the meantime, the rest of those tanks are really just trying to break down, and I use this phrase a lot, Matt, but they are in a war of attrition. They're trying to wear the Los Angeles Valiant down with their superior bulk.
Yeah, and Agilities builds up a Riptire rather quickly. He's able to defect Zappis and take out Sebosai. That'll end the fight here. So, they're just trying to stagger out Manitin. They'll pick up that kill, so it'll force the Mayhem to regroup up back at their spawn. Both support ult's going to come online very soon here for the Los Angeles Valiant. You already have Zupe with his Coalescence, so we'll see how they decide to use that Moira ult You get a speed boost, you bring everybody in, you use that Moira ult. She's going to be very susceptible to a pulse bomb, though.
So this strategy for the Mayhem is contingent on Tvik being in position and doing damage. And he might not be allowed to now with Soon. You know who he's looking for, by the way? Well, the ground is probably not the intended target there. Tvik took a bit of damage for that one, but now the sound barrier is in effect. Let's see if the Mayhem can capitalize on this one and follow up. There's a Riptide here. That Transcendence could be rendered null and void if this one connects properly. Agilities is missing. Tvik finds his opposite number. He's the only Junkrat on the field right now. Hollywood clearly not big enough for the two of them. But Agilities is going to be brought back. Tvik tries to cover his retreat with a concussive mine, and so far he's actually not being recognized here. He almost managed to pick off Unco, but he is eventually noticed and taken down by Fate.
Yeah, it was nice by Verbo to get back and bring Agilities up. You use that Riptire to get the other Junkrat out because that's a lot of the damage that the Valiant are getting down on these large tanks. You bring Agilities back up, also builds up towards that Riptire. Now some changes come out here for the Mayhem. They'll have Tvik play Pharah, you'll have Zebosai play Mercy here, and Zupe will go to Ana, so it'll be interesting. How do you keep these three tanks alive without, that Lucio healing or Moira?
Zenyatta now for Zupe. Bit of extra damage for him. Here's a Riptide from Agilities. Remember how vulnerable, Zebosai could be in the backline. I was going to say Tvik on that Pharah, but it doesn't matter. The key target for the Florida Mayhem is removed, and they just can't seem to get all of the cogs in this machine engaging. They're missing players when they approach the point. They're not quite getting ahead of these fights early.
And as we mentioned, Zappis is a very good Zarya. Potentially you could run
He became known for his Zarya.
You wanted to run triple tank, you could run something like Winston, D.Va, Zarya. Just kind of plow in there, right? Take advantage of that Junkrat and also keep that mobility, with both of those mobile tanks, Winston and D.Va. So it'll be Agilities who falls here early. Maybe you see Verbo get a res up.
It probably will be a resurrect here. We'll see if Florida can actually deny that in any way, shape, or form. I'd say it'd be hard for them. The Valkyrie comes out of Verbo. It looks like he's actually not opting to go for a resurrect at all, and that could be a problem now. Fake down to the whole hog and Soon also removed from the picture. Envy in the backline and Unco being pocketed here. You can see that Tvik's trying to separate Unco from the pocket of Verbo. He gets knocked up, and now it is going to be the Transcendence used on the point. Agilities is going hunting now. It's going to be both Pharahs in the air, but Tvik knows there's bigger fish to fry on the ground. And now that he has a barrage, it might be the time to go! What a beautiful air shot on Unco. Juggles him like he was a cloud's balls, and that's going to be Agility to fall here. He actually takes himself down, and Tvik now, it's open season.
Yeah, it's going to be that Transcendence that comes in from Zupe, just trying to keep everybody up as Fatal use Primal Rage. Zappis here with a self-destruct. They're going to get Envy back in. Soon is still lurking here as well. This one's definitely not over.
Self-destruct going up, you're down right, Matt. Zupe going down here. That self-destruct getting very little value. Could be problematic for the Florida Mayhem. They're trying to push back in with that lack mobility. That's a big ass shadow though. Soon's knocked to the ground. Verbo also on his rear end. And now Envy needs to try and make ends meet with his own self-destruct. Can he stall? Agility's found Zappis got the D-suit and the kill, and Tvik fell to Unco. The Zenyatta stepping forward. The Los Angeles stand proud. Wings out. Full hold on the first point of Hollywood. That's how you come back from a 0-2 half.
Swoosh comes in, he lands, and Shatter connects with 2. At the end there, you saw him just get kind of pushed off the point. It puts Zebosai in a weird position because he doesn't want to go in really as Mercy to extend that overtime, but he's forced to. They're not able to make it back. So now let's see what Florida decides to do on the defensive end. This is a series that Florida has looked very good in this far. That's the first real signs of life here from the Valiant.
And in all honesty, it seemed very, very difficult for the Mayhem to establish a foothold for the first 3.5 minutes. They were getting picked off trying to approach the point. I mean, they've got a Roadhog in the mix, and they've got a D.Va there. They have peak potential themselves, but Tvik was focused down well. We're starting to see players like Fate step up and be, the bloodhound for the Valiant in terms of picking off those first individual targets. And Zupe was the one who opened it up. This man on screen right now. Huge Zenyatta pick, managed to get rid of Agilities, and Verbo was too busy using Valkyrie and healing his team to go back and get the Resurrect. That was the big opening.
Yeah, for me,
they kind of fluffed it.
They weren't able to really, get Agilities down often. He did a very nice job. 13 limbs, 8 final blows, 30% overall team damage. I mean, you allow the Junkrat to stay alive for that long and don't really put the pressure on him, you're going to see those type of numbers come up.
Attackers incoming in 30 seconds.
The Valiant now, you said it yourself, Matt, showing those signs of life. And they've been devoid of for the first half of this series. Could be yet another reverse sweep. At least there's signs of that at this stage. And we see Zappa's come in on the D.Va here. I mean, his report card early on is very, very hard to award properly. I mean, he's playing D.Va, so, you know, usually he's going to be involved in a lot of those kills, and D.Va's very, very strong, very, very oft played right now. We're going to see Florida Mayhem with a similar defense setup, though, with the exception, of course, we're going to see an Ana instead of a Lucio. Zappa's still on the D.Va.
Yeah, they're going to have no main tank, so they'll have Swoosh play Roadhog, Zappas will play D.Va, so you don't have that Winston D.Va combination. Roadhog obviously just has a large HP pool, and then also it's a pretty nice target for Zebasai to charge his ult on.
It's like a Route 66 comp, right? No main tank, very pick-oriented. Also with Zebasai and Zupe trying to stay safe inside the cafe.
But look at how the Valiant are going about handling this Junkrat. You had Fate and Envy go right in, pressure Tvik out. Now, of course, is Tvik just in that side door there. And every time Fate just jumps in.
Oh my God!
Gets right on towards him. This time, though, it's Tvik who takes him out. Swoosh brings in.
Hook 1.0.
You do see soon take him out the time frame, though. As you will have a great spawn advantage here for the Valiant.
Looks like the Valiant are happy to play the slower style as well. Both of these teams are prioritizing the impact of getting a man advantage early in the fight. They want to use this Junkrat to find early picks and also deny. You see what Soon's doing? He's trying to deny that zone away from Tvik, prevent it from using it. And with agility's finding Zupe, it's got to be on for young and old now, man. We see Fate on the point. Riptire brought in through the cafe. Target unclear at this stage, and agility seems to get away with it there. The Transcendence healing is just going to help Fate. That tire really doesn't amount to too much, and that's a barrage inside the cafe. Clearly the man wasn't happy with his latte. He asked for soy milk. And now we'll find two, soon with the Riptire. Zebasai down. Never get between a Millennial and his warm beverage. And that'll be it. The Los Angeles Valiant should be able to take this point, and that would be the map. That will be their comeback here. Zupe has a stand and face of music, but it's not the kind of tune he's into. From the side room, it is going to be an attempt to retake. I'll tell you what, the Valiant look far and beyond the better team on that map.
Yeah, that was a dominant performance in map number 3 by the LA Valiant. They use a nano boost on the Swoosh as he dies on that Roadhog, switches right off of it. He dives into the back line. He does force out the Transcendence. They get nothing with that Riptire. After that, Swoosh goes back to the rest of the team weak. Allows agilities to sneak over the top into the cafe, use that rocket barrage.
It's not the first time we've seen the Florida Mayhem start strong and then falter into the second half of the set. They'd be hoping that they can recuperate and bring back for a big 3-1 after the break.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by T-Mobile, America's best unlimited network. Omen by HP, the official PC and display of the Overwatch League. And by Intel, the official computer processor of the Overwatch League.
chilling with Nate, the birthday boy, who brought all his friends along to check out the Valiant in this matchup. And guys, what better birthday present would there be than a Valiant reverse sweep? That'd be pretty cool, right? All right, well, let's find out if they can do it and send it over to our casters, Uber and Mr. X.
That's awesome.
Oh, I'm so happy right now. How about that, ladies and gentlemen? The Los Angeles Valiant had their own cherubs here at the Overwatch League. I'm tickled pink.
It's an awesome birthday.
I mean, let's see now if they can bring this back and actually make it a reverse sweep. It's in the realm of possibility. I would say that, you know, they'll be bolstered by their previous performance, but I don't really feel like Hollywood told us a whole lot about Valiant really stepping up a notch. I really don't feel like there was much venom in the approach from the Mayhem there. We sort of saw them struggle to get all their ducks in a row before they could even make the push.
Yeah, I mean, we can't really even kind of determine how great Zappos played that map because it goes by so quick.
I was sending him back to Turkey, mate. Yep.
Yeah, Logic,
right. Thanks.
Logics will come in for Zappos here for the next map. So it'll be Route 66 that comes up. And then on the other side for the Valiant, Kareev will come back in, this time for agilities.
Okay.
So you think Kareev can play some Sombra, can play the Widowmaker, 76 here. And maybe it's a map you don't value that Genji as much.
So on one side, we got Logie Bear coming in for them picnic baskets. On the other side, we're going back to the old permutation, I guess. This is the Kareev DPS, surely.
You say that, you know, maybe you don't need the 76 and whatnot, but if you do, agilities are pretty good on it, you know, early on in the series. So it's something that I think the Valiant, like, it wasn't a problem in stage 1, right? Because Kareev, you never saw him as DPS, so you never, like, saw that as an option. You just kind of saw it was either agilities or Silk Thread and then number 2 spot. Now you kind of have seen everybody, and now it's just like, well, who do you use in certain situations? It's almost like made it tougher.
Maybe they just want to try and go back to the structure that they had that allowed them to, you know, beat the Outlaws and have a very good last couple of games and back to basics. So they use the KISS principle, keep it simple, stupid. Maybe just try and wind it back. As we go to Route 66, it's a map where, you know, I guess we think about Sombra, right? Sombra always comes to mind on this kind of map. Do we expect to see, I mean, where are our standouts on that Sombra role here?
On the defensive end, you'll definitely see Sombra come out. I mean, you could see the Mayhem run like a solo support. No, well, you kind of can run Sombra in 2 different ways. She can either be, you know, a DPS, and then you still run, whether it's like Lucio's in, Anna's in, you know, whichever, kind of throw your supports in a different combo. Or you can run with just one support and then use Sombra as that secondary support, just keep farming those health packs. Reminder, we're not on the live patch, so you still get ultimate percentage.
We ain't about that long.
To the health packs.
Yeah, and so we'll see what Sombra looks like she's coming out as, you know, as we head towards live. All right, Matt, let's see who's going to have the hot hand and who's going to have the rawhide as we jump into Route 66. It's a must-win for the Los Angeles Valiant to force this one to about 5, and for the Mayhem, it will allow them to sneak away with a victory in this series, and it would be for the first time ever. 2-0 week for the Mayhem.
See, Florida can pick up that win. Yeah, it would be their first winning streak, right? 2 games in a row.
It'd be 2-0 over 2. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
see, wicks meld together for me.
Yeah, I was just going to say.
No, you gave me this deer in the headlights look.
I love it. I was like, this is the first day of the week.
I don't know, bro. I don't know what day it is anymore.
Look, I used to cast with a bald guy who he wouldn't even know what was happening or where we were. So I'm used to that.
What does him being bald have anything to do with it?
It's the way I describe him. He's just a tall, bald man I used to work with. That's
Clint Evans, bald.
Yep. That's how everyone describes Clint Evans. It's the first thing everyone thinks of. Now we've just gone completely off track. It'll be the Valiant on defense. It looks like, at least at the start here, potentially you're not going to see a Sombra. So they'll be running Kareev on Widowmaker on the defensive end. Usually defense, this is where you see Sombra come out on this map, because she can, you know, hack the mega health pack right inside the gas station. Also, the health pack inside of the little tunnel, the one that a lot of teams use to attack.
It's great when if there's a mega in like contested territory between the attackers and defenders. Sombra's really nice there. Obviously, we see it on that Temple of Anuba's second point there in the past. But neither of these teams are ones that I've sort of seen go for a huge amount of Sombra. Well, we might see that from the Florida Mayhem here. We're probably not going to see Logic's Genji. That'll be something quite new. Widowmaker makes sense from him. Mane won't be playing the tour. Let's all just calm down.
They could be running double sniper. It should be maybe Tavik just firing a Sonic Arrow and then switching. No. So he fires. So when he fires that Sonic Arrow and they see that the Sombra's not there, wonder if they decide to change up comps, because you could have used that Scatter Arrow, right? Scatter Arrow, you can pick players off. As Unko gets drilled at the beginning, it'll be res right away. but Scatter Arrow is pretty good against flankers, right? You just fire it at the ground, take out that Sombra, so...
Yeah, that's right. There's a Tracer or Sombra, doesn't matter who's going to be there. Soon probably doesn't want to try and challenge to be good, needs to be careful. Logix is down again. Oh, it's just... I'm conflicted. Now, to be fair, Tvik is a bit of an OG Hanzo. He actually played Hanzo in order to defeat Lunatic High back at APAC in 2016 on the map of Hollywood especially. So there's a lot of history with him and this particular hero. All right, Kareev, how about that?
It seems to be working thus far. So I know they're advancing the payload as you had to have the Valiant back out. That is just filthy. So Verbo's going for the res, and you saw the effects that Scatter Arrow almost takes him out around the quarter, gets him down to a little bit below half HP. These double snipers really causing the Valiant a ton of trouble.
Yeah, the Valiant aren't sure who to go for here, and they want to access the backline. But see, Tvik and Logix are standing even further back than their supports are. Notice Tvik's positioning here. So the Valiant are conflicted. If they try and dive on the Mayhem supports, they're still going to be subject to the covering fire of the snipers, and this is working out an absolute treat so far for the Mayhem.
Well, if you're Soon, who do you go after as Tracer? Because most likely, Zebo is pocketing Logix, so you're going to be very difficult to take him out. You go after Zupe,
Zebo just heals him.
Most likely, yeah, Zebo just heals him. You go after Tvik, he looks at the ground and Scatter Arrows you. So who is the target here for Soon?
That's it, Tvik out there making Pythagoras jelly. You know what I'm saying? Stuck Pulse Bomb though, Swoosh drops down, the parry Soon falls to his own Pulse Bomb. Oh God, it's been a nightmare so far in this map for the Los Angeles Valiant. Nothing is going right.
It will be the Valiant just trying to get onto the payload, just trying to force some ultimates out. This will be a Dragon Strike that comes out from Tvik. Not really going to see him get much of anything. Maybe that's a sign that we'll see him change hero the next time he drops into the spawn.
Well, he's already got 30% on his ult percent after having used that, by the way, which is astonishing in and of itself. Nice job by Swoosh there. He keeps Fade away from his backline. He intercepts the enemy Primal Rage Winston and makes sure he can't get at his team in close quarters. Unfortunately for the Mayhem, Envy was still able to get himself the cat amongst the pigeons, and now they'll be able to push back here. A chance for the Mayhem to recover and spring forth once more.
I thought Tvik would change here, and he does. He's going to go play Tracer, because if these tanks keep playing at that choke and just forcing the snipers out, you're not going to have enough damage to get through them. So you need a Tracer in the game on your team. Logix is your Widowmaker player for this roster, although we see them exchange time and time again.
They switch it up.
Seems to be pretty fluid how they change things up.
And they're happy with it. I asked them why they do that. They're just like, well, we just kind of have this set up. But maybe it's just about mixing it up and keeping it fresh for these guys. Who knows? Logix found Soon, though, so that's a huge, huge boon to the Mayhem going forward. Fate didn't realize he'd be dropping down in front of Tvik, who's getting a lot of that ultimate percentage, getting closer to that pulse bomb.
And that's a 1v1 that Logix wins against Soon, and he's going to be able to take out... Verbo in Kareev there. Didn't expect him to hit that shot onto Kareev, but Soon keeps pushing up close to Logix, and Logix just kind of flicks onto him. Able to hit these headshots as Unko is going to get caught out, had that Transcendence, but he's all alone, probably trying to hide there. Potentially, you know, his teammates get on the payload, comes out of nowhere, but that should be it, man. The Mayhem are pushing in now, you know, all the way towards the end of this map now. They do have 4 minutes and 15 seconds left in the time bank. A pretty good time. Soon's going to return the favor there. Thanks to the post. But 4 minutes is an eternity here to take this final point, although it is a very difficult point to take.
It is, and it's very, very hard for attacking teams if the payload's pushed a long way down the hall to return to it without getting picked off. They actually traded 1-for-1 in that fight, the Florida Mayhem. So after losing their Widowmaker, Tvik did go and find Verbo, who's been struggling this map. He's died 4 times, which is, you know, equal most. He and Unco have both died the most on the side of the Valiant here, so you can see the supports are being focused.
To be fair, only 6 kills for the side of the Valiant, so you haven't really been able to keep these supports alive at all, taking out any of these flankers or the sniper on the side of the Mayhem.
Fate was there on his own, inside of Transcendence, couldn't get out, had already committed to that engagement. The rest of his team could already look on in dismay and know that they were going to be losing their Winston. And look how far back the Valiant are standing right now. They cannot afford to have anyone else picked off to Tvik and a Pulse Bomb, or Logix picking them off with the Widow's Kiss.
But in a situation like this...
Oh, there it is! What timing!
A situation like this, if Logix connects with a shot on like Unko or Verbo coming out of the spawn, it's kind of GG at that point, but it's going to be Soon who takes Logix out, so you get that Widowmaker out of the fray. It'll be Sushu Falls as well. And now when you get to this part of the map, how effective can you make this Widowmaker be? Do you opt to switch it off, maybe go with a dive towards the end as you see Soon cleaning up some kills?
Yeah, it's like playing Bastion on this part of the map. I know it sounds crazy, but we've seen it before. If you put the enemy team in a position when they have to stall, then Widowmaker's great here, right?
Yes.
But there are so many avenues of approach for defenders to get their Tracer right up the other end of this hallway while breaking line of sight the whole time. This way, Soon can just sneak all the way across and get pulse bombs like he did before on Logic's. Not now, though, with that infra side in play.
The play for the Mayhem here is to basically force the fight on the payload with a man advantage, force the Valiant to commit to just the payload, and open up some sightlines for Logic's. It's going to be a Transcendence that comes in from the Valiant. It's going to allow them to push on forward, pick up some kills. Zebosai uses his Valkyrie here, and maybe you see them switch off of this. I know, yeah, I believe like 1 or 2 players are already dead when he used the Valkyrie trying to heal this up. This is where you like to see them go with like Tracer Genji, right? Maybe a Lucio, and just really dive, get into that backline, and put some pressure on Kariv then.
It seems as if this composition for the Mayhem is almost anticipating a dive from the Valiant. They're kind of hoping to get dived on, but their composition doesn't exactly reflect a setup that can punish bad dives from the enemy team, right? It's kind of squishy. Zebosai and Zupe are there. You can see Zupe can be easily caught out of position. Logic's can't do much if, you know, Soon can get within striking distance of him either.
And even if you do see Logic's pick this kill up onto Kariv, Kariv can easily just get rezzed all the way in the back here by the trap. It's very easy for the rest of his team to peel all the way back to see how far the payload is. So he's going to put a shot on the Manitin.
I mean, in all fairness, he had the infra side.
Through the wall.
He had the angle, though. In any other game, he'd be literally cheating, but not this one. Logix is brought back to life, but Zebosai goes down, a result of his valiant attempt, excuse the pun, to bring his Widowmaker back into play. Swoosh is getting hammered there behind the payload. He knows he needs to commit. It's so often we see Swoosh start his dive off at half HP. It's frustrating for the Mayhem, who often aren't able to get all the pieces on the board in the right way. Again, Logix is going to be jumped on. You can see that Fate gets himself into the cookie jar, but Swoosh has done the same thing on the other side, Matt. He's got rid of Unco. Fate's gone down, so the dive has been shut down from the Valiant. There might be an opening here. The Mayhem are barreling forward at a rate of knots, and Unco's missing. Kariv has to go hero mode here, get some picks and slow the Mayhem down.
You have infra sight up here for the Florida Mayhem, as Kareem knows that. He just doesn't want to peek out too far. It's going to be both support ults here for the Valiant, though. It's going to be Verbo using the Valkyrie coming out of the spawn, but 2 players drop right away.
Here's the fight. It's going to be the Transcendence in over the point, and Tvik goes down early on. That's the pick that Kareem was looking for, but now there needs to be more. There needs to be that follow-up. Manitin needs to get away from Swoosh, and he does. Swoosh has the Orb of Harmony on that Winston, so he can get the healing back, but he needs to disengage from the fight to stay alive, and Envy follows. He chases Zupe down, cleans him up, and that'll be tough for the Mayhem to even so much as get back to the payload in time. Tvik got rocket punched on the top left area. Envy's having a bit of fun now with his doofus, getting up in there, gets his hands dirty, literally and figuratively, and that will be it in overtime. There's no way the Mayhem are getting there. And they will be held. That's before the end of the map, the Florida Mayhem, unable to complete that 3rd checkpoint.
The first 2 stages of the map were very good for the Mayhem. That last one, they had over 4 minutes to complete the map. They're not able to do it. Would have liked to see some kind of composition switch in terms of the DPS there. I feel like they got put in a difficult position. You can see some of the shots that Logic's hitting on this Widowmaker earlier. Predicts the recall. Right, nice shot there.
What's he even looking at? He's just trying to see the flicker, I guess, of that recall.
So I would have liked to see them go with more of a standard dive there. I think if you would have used that speed boost, get maybe Genji with Tvik, and then Logic's on the Tracer. With his Tracer's been unbelievable in this series thus far. You could have given Kariv a lot of problems over in the back of the map. And then what does Kariv switch to at that point? Does he go to a 76, a little bit more of like even a stationary target where he doesn't have that long range, right? Then you can really close the gap on him. Would have definitely potentially given the Valiant some trouble there at the end, but it doesn't happen. The Valiant are able to hold on. They stabilize on the defensive end.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's like, depending on where Logix is sort of situated, in hero pick kind of depends, in this match at least, where most of the pressure's been coming from.
Yeah.
Tvik's had a fine game. He's done totally fine, especially on this map, by the way. But, if Logix is on that Tracer, then perhaps the Mayhem are able to apply just a bit more pressure to the backline, maybe force some more errors from players like Unco, from Verbo, et al.
See Tvik, the second player to play Hanzo on Route 66. Doesn't surprise us that Libero is the other. We've seen a lot of Hanzo from Libero throughout stage 2 this far.
Pick potential is big right now, especially considering that picks have more importance now that Mercy isn't there to just erase that impact. Again, ultimate economy is important in Overwatch, and having more ults than the enemy team is important, but far more fights are won from starting with a man advantage than having an ultimate advantage.
And you see the lineup that you have the Valiant running here. So Kareev will play Reaper, soon on McCree, and Envy playing Roadhog. This is like to try and counter the Sombra, right? You have a lot of things you can deal with the Sombra. The hook, the flashbang, and then if you get EMP'd, Kareev can still do a ton of work here. As Reaper, they get swooshed with a hook, he's able to stay alive though.
Kareev doesn't want to get too close here to the enemy. The Florida Mayhem, of course, getting hacked would be bad, getting blinded by Zuppe would be rough.
Fade actually ended up getting hacked during that fight, so maybe that's why they didn't kind of push a little bit further up. They didn't have the luxury of that defense matrix. A flashbang on a Manitin after a hook comes through. He will get defect and finished off there by Kareev.
Also needs to be careful there. A couple more orbs and all half his number. He does get a bit of healing towards the end there, and because Zuppe is just trying to force people back. Good accuracy on those orbs so far. It's been keeping the DPS from the Valiant honest, but so far, there doesn't really seem to be much for the Mayhem to slow them up here. Now that Kareev is guarding the door, you know, it's like the bouncer with the long trench coat. You know, the one they really don't want to mess with.
And then
like teardrop tattoos and stuff.
You have Envy on the other one as Roadhog, so that'll push on through. So it's really bad here for the Mayhem is that you've been playing around this Sombra EMP. You haven't even been able to earn it thus far. And what, maybe you get a good EMP here at the door? You're going to probably have Coalescence, though, on the other side, and then you're going to have a Deadeye, so you can't exactly just dive that completely.
Coalescence now coming out from Unco. Again, the Sport just being forced towards Manitin here, and Spik doesn't want to get too close. Deadeye being channeled. Soon holding it. Doesn't find anything from it, has to cancel. And now he's going to be able to find Manitin. So Logic's here. Again, with his pulse bomb down, he can harass Envy. He's actually already used Take a Breather, so a bit of extra damage here. That'll get the job done. What more to find, though? He's quite susceptible to Moira's damage, and Unco, he's going to be siphoning away his life. Yeah, that's going to be rough. Unco gets him with a Biotic Orb.
And no Blink Slash. A lot of times in that, you know, playing Tracer, you always like to leave yourself with one Blink, like never to use all three, but in that situation, waiting for that other Blink to come off cooldown doesn't happen. So Tavik will have an EMP. It's the first EMP they're going to have an opportunity to use.
Not good enough for the Sombra on this
map. Almost when we're at the second stage of the map. That is not good value out of your Sombra play.
Soon playing it off angle here. He knows that most of the dive tanks are going to try and hit that high ground. So now he'll be focused. He'll need to hold that flash. He will be jumped on. Swoosh goes overhead, so perhaps he's not too worried about the McCree right now, given that he's forced him onto the low ground. There's an attempt at a flash there on the nano boosted Logics. What a beautiful pulse. Doesn't quite claim the kill though, once again. It looks so good in execution, but the result is not there. However, the Mayhem, for the first time, can stabilize on this defense.
It's a lot of good progress made by the Valiant. Finally, a hold for the Mayhem, and they didn't have to use their EMP here. So Logix will switch off of Tracer. So he's been playing pretty well on thus far, even on this map, right? We just saw him getting some picks. Go and play Widowmaker. Obviously, you're not able to really kind of do damage at range to the Widowmaker with a McCree into Reaper, so trying to take advantage of that.
Okay, this is a good time for an EMP because the entirety of the Valiant are gripped up and Tavik knows it too. And it rip! And there it is! The entirety of the Valiant have no abilities to really be using for the time being. With Fate going down so early, they've lost their initiation potential. That EMP's now expired. So see if the Valiant can sort of break back into this fight with the Transcendence there, man. I think this one is done, and she's dusted.
Yeah, he connects with 4 players with the EMP. It doesn't result in a lot of kills right away. Just forces the Valiant to obviously no abilities. There's not really a ton they can do. So Verbo did end up, I believe, using a sound barrier. So they had both support ults at the beginning. You'll see him switch to Mercy now. Try and provide some, more healing at range. So you're going to see a lot of changes. So it'll be
comp change.
Yeah. So it's going to be Unco going to Zen. Verbo will play Mercy. You expected a change in terms of DPS when Mercy came in. You know, whether it's going to be Pharah or Widowmaker, it's going to be Widowmaker here for the Valiant.
They kind of had that anti-Sombra set up, at least with the McCree in play. They were hoping that that would be enough to sort of shut Tavik down, and it actually did. That was Tavik's, first EMP, maybe second one.
Maybe they're not really too worried about his EMPs, that he's not exactly farming it rather quickly. As I don't know how Logix hits him, as you see, a little frustration sitting there with Kareev.
Yeah, Swoosh now. It's going to give them a bit of a razz. Bit of a taser. Soon's forced to jump away. The Valiant don't have much to work with. Of course, after switching both the supports and the DPS, they're going to have to build up some of the ultimate economy. So it actually could cost them about a minute in total before they can actually compete at that same level as the Mayhem in terms of those abilities.
And you're going to be able to use this EMP from Tvik to be able to win a fight or two easy, and then hold on to some of your own ults, and maybe you get another Transcendence, because if the Valiant end up trying to come in and they try and use that Transcendence or even Valkyrie a little bit late, they could get caught in that EMP, never get it off.
Tvik Dev's trying to break line of sight. Ooh, what about a hack on Unco? That would be a cheeky one. He gets Envy as well. And we know that Envy's nothing but a walking tin can when he's hacked.
And they get a D-Back right away as Swoosh can use Primal Rage, knocking players off the side.
You'll love to see it, man. King of the Jungle's back. Swoosh there. I know today he had his beard manicured. What do you call it? A beard treatment. Explain it to me. You don't know? He had his beard styled just for this game. Just feeling it. Feeling primal and savage, and it's translating into his Winston play. Clearly. 1 minute left for the Valiant, so this has actually gone a bit sour for the home team.
They put themselves in a tough spot because they know that Tvik has EMP. The supports need to spread out. You want to get good use of both of these support ults. You do have a Nano Boost coming online as well to keep Swoosh alive through this next fight too.
One EMP may just ruin the day for the Valiant.
He just wants to get both supports.
Well, he's not getting injured right now. Silpa is actually getting jumped on. Here's the Transcendence, and this should be the snap back from the Mayhem. Again, they've got to use this heal. They've got to use this healing as much as they possibly can. He does think of the stick onto a Swoosh off the map. He must have had a jump pack left. He must have already used it and just get knocked off. That's beautiful stuff from Fate. And the Valiant break through. Just when it looked like they'd be ground to a screeching halt, they managed to bring themselves back into the fight. Now, Logix and Tvik are the only players up on the high ground here, and you can really see that Soon's not worried. Cheeky attempt at stalling there from Tvik. He'll be out of position for the time being now. That EMP didn't really find them much at all. Again, it's just a matter of just trying to keep this one stalled out. Tvik's going to run away back to his team. Oh, he got eaten by the poison mine. That's rough. He'll get out.
He'll get healed up. Unco still with Transcendence here. Yet another Transcendence for the Valiant. So now they go over to Genji here on the defense, Florida Mayhem. They're in a good position, right, Mitch? They win 1 or 2 fights. You're down to 30 or so seconds. You build up some ultimates. This is a very hard part of the map to start moving the payload.
Yeah, the Valiant had to give away those first couple of fights after switching this composition, but now that they've actually started to build up ahead of steam, Matt, they've got all the tools at their disposal that they really need. Florida, on the other hand, are kind of in a bit of a weird spot. It's going to come down to them getting picks to try and slow the momentum down for the Valiant. Logix had a good infrasight earlier on, which allowed Maniton to identify where Kareem was hiding and finish him off. That stopped them there. But what now? That's what's going to happen now. That's the pick we were talking about. It's the one they needed.
And ideally, you'd like to see them get aggressive now, try and force out either Transcendence or Valkyrie. It looks like they're getting around the corner, but the Valiant being very disciplined here, not using either of those ults.
Kareem switches to the McCree here. Bit of an anti-dive approach.
What does he do against Logix at range, though?
Right, well, he needs to stay safe, mate. You're dead right. Perhaps a flash. Perhaps he's more concerned about shutting down Swoosh here, because he's not getting any room on that Widowmaker right now to actually be able to win the 1v1s out at long range against Logix. We'll see if that's the plan. So far, both teams are trading out and they're getting a lot of healing from their respective supports.
If they can get this Transcendence out of Unco, it would be huge, because then that's going to allow Tvik with the Dragon Blade to go to work. Unco may be holding on to it, though, knowing it's coming. Fate drops, that's a big kill.
This is when you got to start to apply the pressure. No, they took the foot off the gas mat. They allowed Verbo to get a big resurrect on Fate, and as the Transcendence being forced out, Tvik may well be the man of the moment here. Dragon Blade in, Kareem stuns him up, but Tvik's okay. He was sitting inside the Transcendence, and it's found Verbo. It's found Kareem. That's 2 already. Make it 3. And Tvik goes in. He goes ham. And now Fate gonna try and drop in over the top. It's just 2. It's him and Soon trying to keep the dream alive here. Soon finds Zupet, but they're not on the payload right now. Tvik forced into a frantic deflect with Zebasai's down on the back line. This is getting a little bit tense. Soon being chased down. He's still alive somehow. Now the reinforcements have arrived. The cavalry's here. Tvik falls. Manton has to run away. They've got to give control over to the Valiant here.
Yeah, Fate uses Primal Rage, able to stay alive. The Valiant makes some changes as the payload keeps on moving. Logix will go over to Tracer here.
Unbelievable.
Zebasai's got Valkyrie, so that's going to be the big ultimate in this fight. You just need to get a touch here for the Mayhem.
There it is.
Contested, and now Zebo will use that Valkyrie.
Overtime's been going for a while, so one mistake will lose Los Angeles, the map and series. They have to stick to the payload, but Fate is down. The Valkyrie being used, there's so much healing there. Maniton desuited Unco, trying to pursue Logix and was punished for it. He lost his life in the process. Both supports are missing now for the Los Angeles Valley, and that is it! There was a glint of hope. Glimpse of possibility of capitulation for the Mayhem. But man, they finish the series. They carry out what they began in maps 1 and 2.
The 2-game winning streak for the Florida Mayhem.
Hot diggity dog.
They played the Houston Outlaws tough last week as well. This is a team that is on the rise after a rough stage 1. Trying to make some ground up in the standings here in stage 2. You see Swoosh letting Management go right in front of him. So, this last map, Logix and Tavik, we knew they were a strong DPS duo coming into the Overwatch League. They really started to show up in this game. The 33 final blows combined.
The Los Angeles Valiant continue to swing between victory and defeat like the angelic pendulum that they are. Definitely some questions to be raised about this home team, but there are many, many people here and at home glad to see the Mayhem take that 3rd win. What an incredible showing from them here. They're climbing, Matt. They're on the up and up.
Yeah, I would also say it. Very difficult to have Kareev come in at the end into a DPS role. So you saw Agilities play most of the series. It's the Florida Mayhem getting their 2nd win of stage 2.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Intel, the official computer processor of the Overwatch League. T-Mobile, America's best unlimited network. And by Omen by HP, the official PC and display of the Overwatch League.
One and all. I am Zoe and I'm joined by no other than Swoosh. The Mayhem are back. Now, another victory for you guys. You keep on riding that momentum. What gave you the edge? Why wasn't this turned into a reverse sweep?
Well, we just kept on going, you know. We realized we got reverse swept by Houston, and that's a feeling we never want to experience again. So yeah, we just calmed it down in the dugout between in the break, and with help from Sapis and Ryder, I think we brought it back together.
Right, now looking at your opponents, the Valiant, they've been continuing to trying new things. Today we saw Karif back on support. Did this kind of role switch have any influence on your game plan coming into this?
No, not really. I mean, we expected Karif to play DPS in the beginning, but then we got the starting lineup when we saw agilities. But we still came in with the same mindset. We followed our game plan and we executed it, and it still worked.
It did work indeed. Now, one last question. Zapis, first time on the stage. How did the boy do?
He's a lot of fun to have on stage. He calms everyone's down. He cracks good jokes as well, which we all try to do on the Mayhem. But yeah, he's just a good guy and like a lot of experience, and he's just all around good player, you know.
All right. So are you and your team. Thank you so much for joining me, Swoosh. They're definitely bringing the fun to Overwatch. We're now heading over to the desk to break down the action we just saw on stage.
Awesome, thank you so much, Tony. One more time for Swoosh and the Mayhem tonight. Back-to-back victories now, and tonight's was a 3-1. I know it was over the hometown crowd, but you got to be impressed with the improvements they have made since stage one. And let's start there, because you heard in the interview with Swoosh, he said they've got Zapis in their ear now, and this new guy, Ryder. Who is this man?
Well, he's a new coach they brought over from South Korea, of course. He used to coach a very famous Korean team called Meta Athena, of course. So now Ryder is here in Los Angeles and actually helping out. And you can actually see that it's helping Florida Mayhem quite a lot. You can see that Swoosh played a lot better today than he has before. He can blow. Usually he's very good at controlling space, and this time they actually took a leap and went forward aggressive with the Twix Genji, of course. So it's paid dividends so far with new coaching staff.
Brent, on the subject of coaching here, let's hear your thoughts on the Valiant today, because they played agilities a lot more. Karif played a little bit of support. Eventually we saw him back on the Widow towards the end of it all. What did you think about the roster decisions made by the Valiant? Because they're now starting to go into a bit of a slump.
Yeah, I think across the board I actually did enjoy the changes they were making, to be honest, because like I said, they needed to increase the tempo of play style against Florida Mayhem. That's kind of, if you just let Florida walk all over you with an aggressive play style, which is what Florida were playing, you're going to have a bad time. So they were making, reasonable changes in terms of the roster department, but the issue was Logix was like the ultra factor, right, coming into this game. I don't think anyone could have predicted how well this guy was going to be playing. He was pretty much solely like leading and just demolishing the opposition time and time again on the Widowmaker and the Tracer, shutting down players. I mean, it's one of those variables that you can't account for in the game. You can't really make adjustments for it other than changing your play style on the fly, which is something that we've seen Valiant maybe are struggling with a little bit.
I think we were all a little bit worried for Florida. As we take a look back at Hollywood, you put in Zapis. It's his first time on the main stage, but you keep Manitin in. So you basically have two guys that were playing Diva for you throughout this series in the game. Johnny, why would you keep Manitin in instead of Logix, your Tracer, with this composition for Florida?
Well, Manitin is a fantastic Roadhog player. I'd argue that Diva is probably Manitin's worst off-tank, and that's not to harp on his Diva, that's just because his Roadhog and Zarya is that good. So having Manitin still in the lineup really helps you out organize the triple tank composition. And Manitin actually has quite good mechanics when it comes to the hit scan. So later we saw him play Soldier on the defense, of course. So Manitin is still a very good all-around player, but he can't play the DPS role full-time because he doesn't have a standout Tracer or a Genji. But he is very flexible, and so a key player for the Florida Mayhem.
The triple tank didn't really work out for the Florida Mayhem. Do you think they'll be showing it a little bit more moving forward now that Zapis is here?
Yeah, well, Zapis was known for in Ninjas in Pyjamas, his former team, of course, to play the tank composition. So I think it's pretty likely we'll see more tanks. I mean, they just need a aggressive Reinhardt. Fraggy isn't there anymore. They can't really put resources into it. So maybe Swoosh has to become the new aggressive Reinhardt player.
We talked a lot about the Florida decisions coming into that game, but Brent, I want to hear from you. How did Valiant walk away with the victory? They forced a game 4, had a chance to force a game 5. Didn't go that way, but what were they doing right on Hollywood?
So I think, honestly, it was a composition issue for Florida, and it was just them exploiting it very well across the board. That's my personal take on it, because they were running the tank-based composition. They were quite reluctant to change off of it and make switches away from it, because I think once you start to sort of fail, you get stuck in a sort of a feedback loop of just failing over and over again with the same composition. You don't want to switch off the heroes, because then you're going to start to lose the ultimate percentage. You're start going to be at a disadvantage, essentially, when you're coming into the subsequent fights. So I feel like that was it, essentially. Valiant were really taking advantage of the fact that they weren't switching off it. They had agilities on the fire, which was absolutely demolishing them on the tank compositions, because they had nothing to deal with it. And essentially, that is why they couldn't really take it. It was so close at multiple times. A big part of this was played as well by Fate and Envy. I mean, you don't... Are you disagreeing with me? I
No,
No,
we've
no,
been
I'm
looking
just-
at side.
you're
You
looking
were
at
talking
side.
for a while.
I'm
We
getting
saw
thrown
Tranquility. We got Sureforward.
Sureforward is
You're
fake.
throwing me off.
You know that?
I do know, yeah. Sureforward is
Sorry.
a very attractive boy. But
You make some good points, though. It looked like they saw the weaknesses and were able to exploit it.
Exactly.
But then you see Florida flip it on the head. Let's take it to game 4. It's Route 66. Triple tank wasn't working out for you. So what do? You come in with double snipers, and were you worried when you saw this intro from Florida on the attack? It was Logix and Tavik coming out with a Hanzo and a Widow, but they made it work.
yeah, it's hard to be worried when they're making performances like this. I mean, Tavik on the Hanzo just hitting these shots. Logix was pretty much playing Widowmaker the entire time on this map. And again, he was making it work. He was hitting shots I've never seen before, right? This is the old Logix coming out. I was so excited to see this. This guy turned up so often. And it's like, this is what we were expecting from Logix when he was coming into the Overwatch League. We didn't see it because of the Mercy meta game. And now we're seeing it here today. I'm so excited. I'm so happy seeing a return to Florida.
You're on board the Florida hype
I'm
train.
on board that, baby. I was the one who started that. I was putting coal in the engines. I was shoveling
They're
it
playing
in.
the Gladiators next. Are they gonna beat the Gladiators? Look, they doubled their wins last week. Okay, they doubled their overall total win.
Okay.
And they could do it again this week.
Yeah, Bren.
I'll get back to you on that one.
All right.
I'll talk to you about that on
We'll get
another
to that
day.
in their next match. Let's
I like
wrap up
being
this
hammered.
one here, guys, as we take a look at the second half. Yes, you're going to get pretty far there with the payload if you're Florida, but Valiant, they were looking really strong early on. It took Florida to dive deep on that final point and shut it down. How did they close out this game? Because it looked like we were about to go see a control game 5.
Well, I think overall that Valiant strategy of playing the McCree and Reaper, sure it works versus the Sombra, but you limit yourself so much. So you saw Logic swap over to the Widow once again. You saw Tavik come in with some nice hacks onto Envy. And it just seemed like Los Angeles Valiant, they were a bit disoriented and couldn't deal with the Sombra and adapt properly. So I think they just got outstratted overall here on their attack on Route 66.
I'd agree with that across the board, but look at this play by Tavik as well. And as this was happening, I was just screaming old Tavik again.
Yeah.
Because like, this is the kind of stuff that this guy would pull out time and time again. Now that Logix is playing well, Tavik can just let loose throughout the game. They're playing so much more aggressive as well because of Ryder's coaching, like Johnny mentioned. It's just looking so bloody sweet.
The fantasy is back.
It's so good.
Well,
it's so good.
They've played 18 matches now. They've won 3 of them.
Yeah.
They needed to turn it around. I'm glad to see them getting it done right now. Remember, they still have stage 3. They still have stage 4 to prep for. For now, though, we have to crown our player of the match today, sponsored by Omen by HP. And it's Logix, man. His Tracer opened it up, but it was the sniper that had Bren smiling ear to ear today.
Well, I mean, I've already hyped him up enough. Do I need to really talk more about this?
Yep.
The guy had a ridiculous performance. Again, I'm going to say it all over, but the sniping, the Tracer, everything. Old Logix is back. There's an excellent image.
Favorite part?
My favorite part?
Yeah.
The whole series, Puckett. Cop-out answer number 1. Let's go.
What did you think of his play on game 3?
Well, he didn't play in game 3.
Good catch, good catch,
Hey,
Bren.
he's trying to catch me off
today,
guard. That
buddy.
won't work
You
on me,
passed
lad.
the test. All right. That is now 2 matches down today, but we still have one more to go. Don't go anywhere. When we come back, we got the big one for you. It's the LA Gladiators who are stomping their way through stage 2. Take it on, the Houston Outlaws. We'll be back with that match after this.